Hi guys, Vechs here, and welcome to just me talking about Super Hostile Online. I wanted to mostly talk to the players of the server and just give you an update about what's been going on. Because a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes, and you maybe don't know about it, and I could make a Patreon post and just type it in text, but I kind of just wanted to talk to you, like actually talk directly. Uh, So I wanted to talk about the lag, server lag, and dungeons resetting, and just some issues I had last update. Well, first off, I've worked out a work week schedule for myself to keep me sane. Uh, so basically, day one is making content. Oh, I heard a cactus just poof. Did one of the areas just reset? Did one? I could have sworn I heard a cactus poof. No? Okay. Um. All right. So day one is making content for Super Hostile Online. Day two of my work week, which is going to coincide with Monday Eastern Standard Time, is resetting and updating this, or taking the server down and updating it with new content. And then day three is recording stuff for YouTube and doing streaming when I finally get my hardware set up to do streaming. Day four is working on single-player Super Hostile maps. I've got one. I'm working on one right now, so I am working on the Super Hostile series proper again. I'm not just working on the server. For the people who want a single-player Super Hostile map, one is now actively being worked on. And for the $10 and up patrons in the early access club, you will get that map weeks before the general public, does have access to it. So you will be getting your reward there. There is a map coming for you. And then day five of my work week is a wildcard day where I basically work on anything that I feel needs more progress. So whatever. It's kind of my work on whatever you feel like day, sort of. And then day 6 and 7 I have set aside for my day off where I can go do stuff. Hopefully not related to Minecraft. I don't know, maybe range day. I don't know. Turn money into loud noises. That is one of my favorite hobbies. I love turning money into loud noises. Well, besides watching anime and playing computer games. Yeah, those are my three main hobbies: anime, computer games, and turning money into loud noises. So I want to tell you guys, last reset, this is kind of funny. So I have a new server from Bisect Hosting, and it's a Xeon processor. It's got 32 gigs of RAM. I have 30 gigs of it dedicated to the server, and then like 2 left over for the operating system. And I've got chat turned down just so I can focus on talking. Otherwise, like all sorts of people will message me. But yeah, I like the server. It's definitely a new system. All the back-end stuff is new and different for me, because the previous server, the control panel and all the terminals, all the stuff that I interacted with to access and change stuff on the server, is now completely different than what I was using. So I've switched systems. So that is taking some getting used to. I'm almost there. The new server is running, I think, Debian, which is Linux. So I'm just going to call it Linux. Is that okay? I do not know much about Linux. I am learning about Linux now. I know zero about Linux. So I am to interact with the server. I log into it and execute like Linux commands, which are totally weird to me. But look at this dude. Maybe he'll kill somebody. It'd be fun to watch. I feel like being mean. Or actually, I had the game rule random tick speed to 0.5. Apparently, I don't know if that actually works. So I've set it back to 2, and I'm just going to let it be on 2 for a while. Because the dungeons weren't updating properly. But I'll get to that later. I'm getting ahead of myself. So anyway, I'm trying to update the server. So I take the server down. I download the map file. I mess with it and do all my shenanigans in it and MC edit and other stuff. And so I put it back on the server, and I start the server back up, and I'm like, oh, this will be great. And I log into it, and it's all void. Shit. So I try it again. I take it down. I feel like, oh, maybe the map file got corrupted, so let's try a new map. Let's try it again. Let's upload it again. So basically, TLDR, I screw around with it for like 3 hours, trying different things. And I keep starting the server up, and it keeps being void. And every now and then, somebody is like camping it, trying to log in as soon as the server comes back up, and they just fall into void and die, which I actually thought was pretty funny. But that may have been a symptom of my frustration. I was like, ha ha ha! I get to watch you die. But no, I was stressing out pretty bad. It's a bad feeling to have all of your work just apparently be deleted. And I felt like, obviously, I feel like when I take the server down, I feel like I'm on the clock because I know people want to play, and people know that Mondays are update days. And because I figured Monday would be a slow day of the week. Like, obviously, I wouldn't want to do it on a Saturday or Sunday because that's when like people have off from work and school, and those are busier days. And I figured Mondays already kind of suck anyway, so why not take the server down on Monday? Maybe I should. Maybe I should do it Tuesday. I don't know. Whatever. It's Monday. And so I feel like I'm on the clock because it's like, oh, all these people want to play and log in and see the new. They're excited to see the new changes because I added a dungeon, I added some buildings, I added some new housing, I added a new alchemy shop. The alchemy system's not in yet. That'll be probably next week. And I feel like just briefly jacking up the growth rate on this is random tick speed. Let's put it to 6 for a second and just see if we can get some. Oh, there's one respawn right there. So what will have respawned here? It's basically from here over. So we'll see. So yeah, I was freaking out. I was stressed out. I felt like on the clock. Everybody wants to log in and play, and I feel like, oh crap, why isn't this working? I have no idea why this is not working. And I was like, did I just like corrupt my map files? So I loaded up in single player, and I was like, no, everything is fine. All my changes are here. Everything I made is fine. So why is it not showing up with the server? Well, here's what I finally figured this out, and I figured it out myself, and I'm so proud of myself. Is I noticed that Linux does this thing on the server, the operating system. I don't know if all Linux does this, but at least the version I'm running, it has permission levels for different files. And there's multiple accounts I can log in on the FTP access for the server, and it's kind of it's oh, I think we might. Oh, this might respawn soon. Oh, look at that! It respawned. Okay, so dungeon respawn is fixed, guys. So that's pretty cool. And I'll let it run at 6 for maybe 3 or 4 minutes to let it catch back up to where it's supposed to be, and then I'll turn it back to the normal respawn rate. But so yeah, I mean that was. I saw the permission levels, and then I was looking at like the map files that I had just uploaded, and then I noticed that like the account. I think I understand this. And if you know about Linux, let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about this. But I think the way it was working is the user name or the account that actually runs the Minecraft server.jar file and runs the server was different than the file than the account I had uploaded the files with. So the server did not have permission to read the dang map files. So the server would start up, and it would be like, oh, map files, let me read these and generate the areas. Oh, I don't have access to these files. Well, they must not be there. I'll make new files. And because it's a void preset, it just generated void. And that's what ended up being the problem. And that took me like 4 hours to figure out, and I finally fixed it. And so now the server's back up, and everything's fine. And that won't happen again because I know the issue there. And I know I had to type in some weird command to set everything to the right permissions on Linux. So yeah, that was that. That's why the server was down for so long. Is all my stuff was ready to go, but Linux was messing with me, and I had zero experience with Linux, so I had no idea what was going on. Let's go ahead and set this back to 1 or 2. 2's probably good. Let's try 2. This looks fun up here. I kind of just want to like manually reset this, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm tempted to. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very tempted to. Hurry up and grow. I want to see this area reset. Grow, cactus. So yeah, that's what was up with that. Speaking of the server lag, so there were some settings I tweaked on the back end of the server to help address lag, and to that extent, I think, yeah, it did. There was also a problem with there is an issue with the respawning dungeons. It's basically the lag spikes on the server, because the server will run fine, and then every now and then there's like a lag spike, and it's actually, I bet I could probably trigger one. Let's just trigger one here. So if I get above this and game mode 1, and I'm going to fall on it, and then as soon as I fall on it, I'm going to game mode 3. So you can see, watch my hand disappear, because I should have my hand disappear in spectator mode. Did you see that? Did you see how long that took? So I just basically, that caused a manual reset there. I acted like I was a falling cactus block. And so now this area of the dungeon is reset. But yeah, there was a bit of lag there, and it's because what I've done is cloned 29,952 blocks. So come to find out, on single player cloning this, it causes a hitch, like you do notice it, but it's not too bad, except for the fact that my computer, oh crap. Oh wait, this is one of the useless ones. This doesn't actually trigger this. It's not triggered. It's in its safe space. Okay, good. I didn't want to do that again. So these are meant to go off like rarely, you know. They're supposed to respawn eventually, not all the damn time. So the issue is basically I am biting off more than I can chew. Like, it works, but I don't think I should be respawning this big of an area. And I forgot the first time around to make sure these starting rooms also respawn. So I had to fix that, and now they do. So everything respawns. And then I realized, why didn't I make these starting rooms be actually just a part of the dungeon chunk in here? And I don't know why I didn't do that. I feel stupid, but I did that like later, like the later dungeons I did. What's this? Somebody's tunnel. Somebody made a cry box down here. Or maybe they probably tunneled up. But yeah. So what I need to do is, okay, let's take a look at this. So what area is actually respawning here? So you see basically the the barrier block right here, this is barrier right here. You can't actually see it, but let me go into one. Now you see it. Okay. So the barrier side is the pristine copy that gets cloned over. And then the sea lantern side is the active area that gets overwritten. So basically, these mark the upper boundaries. So from over there to there, and you can see that it does barrier stay visible if I was holding barrier when I went into spectator? No. Okay. So here's the pristine copy of the dungeon, and it's set in void biome, so no natural spawns actually spawn over here. But you can activate the spawners, but they don't. Doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything. And there's the good loot right there. That's the one everybody wants. So if we come over here, and we'll just look at this top one because it's the easiest to visualize. So we have the top one here, and these are always sealed up. Like I know this looks open, but it's all encased in barrier. So, but I don't think anyone would ever come out here. Heads up though, if you try to, I will permaban you. First offense for that. So don't do that. I will be very upset with you if you do that. Like try to get outside the dungeons. Don't do that, please. It's very bad. It's very bad. All right, so this here clones basically from that corner over to right here, this block here. And so from that area over, and then an area of height, I think about 12 high or so. Let me go down here. So yeah, you can see the area that it's cloning is fairly sizable. I mean, like I said, it's 29,000 blocks and change. So that's just too much. So what I'm actually going to do, and this could take a little bit of time to implement because I have to basically redo the whole dungeon system, is make the dungeon areas, the respawning areas. So like this respawning area is 29,000 blocks or whatever. So I basically need to chop this up into much smaller sections. So we'll have more command blocks and more cactuses that activate, but they respawn basically small slices of the dungeon instead of one. Basically, this is as big as you can make this. You can't really go past this size. The command will return an error to you. So I figured I kept adding one more block to it in dimension until I figured out the biggest area that I could make, and that ends up being what is game rule? Yeah, I guess I'll leave that on 1 for now to try to help reduce the lag. It just makes the dungeons respawn slower. Basically, the higher that number is, the faster the cactus grows, and then the faster the dungeons respawn. So yeah, I've even actually considered like a manual system. Like I'll just tell people I'm resetting a dungeon and then push the button and then the whole thing resets. But I kind of don't want to do that because then it requires I wanted it to be an automatic system. And I think it's roughly 15 minutes at default, and then the way I have it means each area should respawn roughly every 20 to 30 minutes or so. I've thought of like using daylight sensors, but then they're one predictable, and 2, that's too fast. Like a Minecraft day goes by too quickly for me to use that. The cactus growth is the most favorable one. So what I need to change is just the area. I need to have thin slices of the dungeon respawn, and that way each respawn event is less CPU intensive and therefore less lag inducing. So it's not actually the connection. The connection to the server is a very high quality. I think it's like a I think it's a 1 terabit connection. It's really beefy. And I think that like the monthly bandwidth is like 100,000 gigabytes, something like that. Oh, did somebody set off the oh no, that was just a creeper blowing up. Run, dude! Oh, he's going. Is he going for the loot? Yeah, you get that loot. You get that loot. Oh, you're not gonna get that loot yet. Oh, you got the temple servant after you. What you doing? You gonna? Oh, he said no. He said no to that. Well, you made it through the dungeon. You just ran through. So he's gonna chill over here. You can go back to the dungeon. Here. So yeah, that's one thing I'm going to be working on. I will always be looking at ways to make the server smoother and to give you guys a better play experience. Like that's just something I will actively be trying to do every week that goes by, is make it better for you, and to figure out ways to do that. But the server hardware is I think fine. It's really beefy. So the lag is actually, I think, coming from my command block contraptions. Like I've just pushed it too far. So to that end, I'd like to start making like new dungeons be in adventure mode, where they don't need to be reset because you can't place blocks. And because you can't mine or place blocks, then the dungeon never gets all messed up and crapped up. And yeah, because you noticed when we first started this video, there were people here just farming the monsters. They weren't actually fighting them. They had built a cage for themselves to kill the feats and just farm them. They're not playing the dungeon really. They made a grinder and they're farming. So I'd kind of prefer to have the dungeon be like you actually fight the monsters. Because Super Hostile Online is made for, multiplayer stuff. It's made for groups. I added a dungeon recently with a very powerful enemy that I had envisioned like a group of 5 players would take on. Like you'd have a healer with the healing banner, and then you'd have like maybe 2 shield people, and then a bowman, and then definitely somebody with a smite axe. Or a smite sword, any smite weapon, I figured would be very effective against the enemy. But instead of doing all that, people just tunneled into the wall and hit the feet until the thing died, right? So that's a bit discouraging to see, but it's the most efficient way to get loot from the enemy, and that's what the players want. They want to get the loot in the easiest, most efficient way possible. So I have to keep that in mind when designing dungeons. So I may have to switch some dungeons over to adventure mode, and that means that like all this contraption stuff that resets the dungeons, I don't have to do. Because basically, I think I'm going to be limited on how many respawning dungeons I can have, because each one of them requires the act of respawning them requires work on the server, and we'll have to see what the new schematic blocks do, because those are coming out, and those might be less resource intensive than the clone command, which would be great. That would be really good. So we'll have to see what those offer, and if they can lead to performance improvements. But apart from that, I would like to add adventure mode dungeons, and that's like you can't tunnel into the walls and you can't make grinders in there basically because it's adventure mode, and that means you'll have to just fight the monsters like you're sort of supposed to. Yeah, and those are going to be kind of free as far as server performance goes. Like they're not going to impact the server performance budget that much. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Do I want to talk about anything else? I think I covered everything with the server It's mostly just kind of talking about the performance, the behind the scenes stuff. Uh, I had a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about, then just didn't feel like felt like making something more than a Patreon post. Speaking of Patreon, I am completely blown away by how much support you guys have given me, and just the outpouring from the community and the positive messages and stuff. Thank you guys so much. This is like a dream come true for me to like be able to do mapping and continue the Super Hostile series and have a system in place where that's like financially viable for me to do, because I had to do YouTube because I, you know, had to pay my bills, and mapping with, like, I was trying to monetize mapping with AdFly, and I really didn't like that system from the beginning, but that was pretty much all that was available, because I always wanted my content to be free, the Super Hostile series to be free. Obviously, Super Hostile Online's not free because I have to run a server to support it. But the single player maps, I always want to be free to everybody. And I never wanted to sell them. So AdFly was a way to try to monetize them without actually charging for them. And Patreon is an amazing way to reward figure out ways to reward people who support me while still providing the maps I'm making for free to the general public. Like, that's a great system, and I'm really thankful to have that. So, is that everything? I feel like I'm losing my voice already. And my throat feels tight. I need to go get something to drink. Yeah, I think that's it. Yep. Oh, and face reveal coming next month, sometime around the 5th or so. Yep. Yeah, I think that's it. Anyway, I'll see you guys next video, and as always, I am always working to try to give you guys better performance, and just be patient with me. I've been working really hard behind the scenes, putting in long hours. I think one day I worked for 17 hours straight on the server, getting issues sorted out and doing stuff. I've been really surprised at the amount of time it takes to manage and maintain a server. It's really a lot of work, but I think it's worth it, and I think you guys think it's worth it too, with how many players I've been seeing, and seeing how people are building on this world and doing stuff in it. They seem really happy, so I definitely want to keep the server going as long as I can. Somebody asked me on Reddit, and I'll just repeat it here to get the information out. How long is Super Hostile Online going to be up for? Forever? The only way I would take the server down is if I financially could no longer afford to keep it up. And yeah, so that should not be a problem for quite some time. So yeah, I have no plans to ever take the server down. Yeah, so forever, as long as it can stay up, is my answer to that. Anyway, I think that is all the information now that I wanted to get across. I'll see you guys next video. Until then, as always, take it easy.